Welcome to another edition of Let's Play WCW 1998. You know, in reality this is not a Let's Play, this is the How I Would Book It series, but things will change and I will get to that in another video upcoming in a couple weeks, and letting you all know how things are going to change, when things are going to change, and why things are going to change. But things will change, and hopefully they will change for the better. But right now, let's get to this show. Right now, let's get to this episode of Nitro, kicking off with Mike Tenay, Bobby Heenan, and Tony Schiavone welcoming us to Monday Nitro. As we are 2 weeks away from Bash at the Beach live on pay-per-view from Daytona, Florida. And tonight's main event will be Diamond Dallas Page against Bam Bam Bigelow. Bam Bam Bigelow debuted in WCW last week on the program, interrupting the main event, attacking both Sting and DDP, which forced the match to end in a draw and led to neither DDP or Sting walking away with the victory, and Bam Bam Bigelow standing tall to end the broadcast. But now, tonight, the Beast from the East is against the Master of the Diamond Cutter. Now I'm going to also try a little bit of an experiment. Well, not really an experiment, because it doesn't require me to do an experiment with this. Because there's one thing that hasn't changed and will not change, no matter how far I go with this series. And that is that Randy Savage is still going to be unscripted, because for this entire year, and not just through this series, but for the entire year of 1998, I have given Randy Savage the ability to talk unscripted, meaning he does his own thing, and it's worked out well for the most part the entire year. So I'm not going to change anything at this point. And now Dusty Rhodes comes out, and Dusty Rhodes and Randy Savage, well, let me put it this way. Dusty Rhodes and Randy Savage talk about Randy's upcoming title defense in 2 weeks in Daytona, Florida at Bash at the Beach. Randy wants to know who he's facing. Dusty says, "Daddy, you will know who you're facing before Bash at the Beach. I promise you that. Because next week, Daddy, we will see a #1 contender match for your WCW World Heavyweight title. And that will include," just as Dusty Rhodes keeps talking. I'm sorry, my allergies are acting up today. I don't mean to keep, sniffling. Just as Dusty Rhodes continues with the promo, they get interrupted by Scott Hall. And Scott Hall Scott Hall makes it clear he wants a shot at the world title. He wants his chance to be world champion. He wants another chance because the shot he got against Sting was because was because of World War III, and he proved at Super Brawl he belongs in the main event, so he wants another shot at the world title. Ignore that because I forgot Scott Hall was actually able to turn. Now we move to another match, a rematch from a couple months ago when Eddie lost the title to Rey Mysterio Jr. If you remember correctly, Eddie was the champion when the year started. Then he dropped the title to Rey at Super Brawl, and then Rey shockingly lost the championship, the Cruiserweight title, to Ultimo Dragon a few weeks later on Nitro, and the Ultimo Dragon held the title in the utmost regard since then, but lost the title last night, or 2 weeks ago, at Slamboree to Eddie Guerrero. Now Eddie Guerrero wins this match using leverage, using the ropes for leverage, aka cheating, to retain the Cruiserweight title. And this is why this match happened. Eddie Guerrero, see, the segment reads, offers his managerial services to Eddie. That's because this game does not really have a partnership angle. So, where a guy comes out and offers, to unite with the guy. Where the guy refuses to do it. They have it where the guy agrees to do it, but not refuses. So I chose to do this because this is the only thing where the guy actually refuses to do something. So don't think Evan Courageous is offering Eddie Guerrero to manage him. He's not. He's offering to team up with Eddie against Ultimo Dragon and Rey Mysterio, but Eddie refuses. Much to the dismay of Evan Courageous, which, if you can't tell, something's going to happen with that. We have 2 weeks before Bash at the Beach, and the Cruiserweight title will be on the line. That previous segment showed highlights of last week, the events that happened between Bret Hart, Dusty Rhodes, and Eric Bischoff, and the possibility of seeing Eric Bischoff and Hollywood Hulk Hogan team up against Davey Boy Smith and Bret Hart at the pay-per-view. This segment is all about Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan complaining. Eric said, Hogan basically said something like, Eric, Dusty control... What are we gonna do, Easy? I don't know. It seems like Dusty Rhodes might have gotten the last laugh on the NWO. And by the way, you will find out next week on Nitro whether Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan will be in. You will find out what Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan are doing at Bash at the Beach next week on Nitro. If you don't know what I'm talking about regarding the Bret Hart, Dusty Rhodes, and Eric Bischoff stuff from the week before, right here, right now, in the top right section of the video, you can click on an annotation in the top right that'll take you back to last week's video, where you can find out what happened between Bret Hart, Dusty Rhodes, and Eric Bischoff, and a whole lot more from last week's episode of Nitro. Now we move to this match where it's basically Chris Benoit's second match since coming back from his injury, sustained at Spring Stampede at the hands of Roddy Piper and Sid Vicious. And Chris Benoit gets the easy win against Prince Iaukea, and then he challenges Sid Vicious to a match in 2 weeks at Bash at the Beach. And now we go backstage with Ric Flair asking Dusty Rhodes if he has his match, and Dusty says to Rick he'll make his announcement next week on Nitro. And here once again, I apologize. I think my allergies are bothering me today for some reason. I don't mean to, you know, I don't mean to keep sniffling, but hard not to. Here's the announcers talking about how heated the rivalry between Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, Benoit, and Sid Vicious has gotten over the last few months, and how everything seems to be heading towards one big point, and that is Spring Bash at the Beach in 2 weeks in Daytona. Now we move to the next match, which is Goldberg against Louis Spicolli. Goldberg's streak continues. And yes, fans, next week it will be Scott Hall, Goldberg, main event, #1 contender match for the WCW World Heavyweight title. Scott Hall and Goldberg will main event next week on Nitro. The winner will face Randy Savage at Bash at the Beach in Daytona for the WCW World Heavyweight title. Now we move to the next segment, which is Gene Okerlund interviewing Bam Bam Bigelow, where Bam Bam Bigelow gets his stage. The stage is set for Bam Bam to explain his actions of last week and why he went after Diamond Dallas Page and Sting. And Diamond Dallas Page and Sting last week, what propelled him to do it. And Bam Bam simply says, I came to make an impact, and I did just that. Now we move backstage where Scott Steiner and Vincent are promoting or talking about the former member Mike Awesome and how barbaric Mike Awesome was, and Steiner makes a comment that Mike Awesome will be taken out by the Steiner recliner. Now we move to the next segment, which is the Barbarian versus Booker T. Booker T gets a big win against the one half of the tag team champions gets the win against one half of the Faces of Fear. Though I gotta remember, and this is on record because it was on record at Slamboree when Barbarian and Ming were in the three-way tag team match against Harlem Heat and the Thrill Seekers, that Barbarian's character is dreadfully stale and I need to change his gimmick. I just forgot because of I forget. But Booker T gets the victory, and post-match, right immediately after the bell rings, Chris Jericho and Lance Storm hit the ring and attack Booker T. But the thing that surprises everyone is what happens next. The Barbarian and Ming attack, run off the Thrill Seekers, and shock the world. Because nobody expects Ming and the Barbarian to turn around and help Booker T. But then we have this, where Ming and the Barbarian have a heated confrontation with Booker T and Stevie Ray. Don't mind that. That's just asking me if I want to turn Barbarian, and I do not want to turn him just yet. Now we move to the next segment, which was unfortunately a bad match rather, and it is just, let me put it this way. Over the last 3 months, Ric Flair has competed in 3 matches, partly because he got injured or was taken out by Roddy Piper, Sid Vicious, and Greg Valentine, but this is my way of getting Ric Flair back in the ring, slowly but surely. Ric Flair, by the way, Roddy Piper has competed in the past on Saturday night. I just don't put him on Nitro, usually. I don't know why. Ric Flair, this is Ric Flair's only 3rd match in the last 3 months. First match, not against, he's only competed in 2 matches over the last 4 months, not against either Sid Vicious or Roddy Piper in any way, shape, or form. Now this is an Raven cuts a promo on Perry Saturn. Raven is yelling and, you know, he's saying how he gave Perry everything and now Perry wants more. Perry wants more. Perry wants more. Well, he's gonna show Perry why. He is still why Perry is not his equal, but his second in command. And now, Mike Today, Bobby Heenan, and Tony Schiavone back to the booth where they talk about the main event between Bam Bam Bigelow and Diamond Dallas Page, and they discuss the impact Bam Bam made last week on Nitro, attacking both Sting and Diamond Dallas Page. Speaking of Sting and Diamond Dallas Page, if the announcers discussing it wasn't enough, for the second time tonight, Sting and Diamond Dallas Page are backstage talking about it prior to his match. I do apologize, this segment should have been before the announcer segment. It should have been reversed, but what are you gonna do? And now we move to the next segment. This brought down the show, I guarantee it. This doesn't, I guess I'm investing in the wrong people, huh? Bam Bam Bigelow is not the right person to have in this segment, huh? Don't you hate it when you have allergies and your nose itches? Well, you know, a show that had so much promise and potential leads to a crapshoot, which is what this series is becoming. Maybe next time, because if I'm just gonna say it, if my allergies are still bothering me next time I go to record, I'm just gonna do it without the webcam because it would be a little bit better. So all you would hear is the, you know, sniffling. You won't see the itching or the scratching or whatever. But as you can see, we got a little bit worse than last week's episode. At least we didn't lose too much popularity this week. But as you can tell, this is why, you know, things haven't really worked out as well as I thought they would for Nitro or this, you know, series in general. But I can honestly tell you things are getting a little bit better, but I'm not getting where I should or where I thought I would be getting. So, you know, that's where the problem lies. You know, and that's why the series is ending earlier than I thought, or earlier than I first wanted to make it end. And if things don't improve with Bam Bam, Diamond Dallas Page, Sting, and that feud, then that feud won't go as long as I wanted it to go, and it'll end sooner than I wanted it to. Fair? Okay. And with all that being said, yes, this week's show was worse than last week's, but do you think it was worse than last week's? Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of this week's show. And if you want more content just like this, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, because this is the only place you can find unique content just like this. And the name? Wrestling Express. Till next time. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.